Hello, my name is Lucila Kitakeaho. I did my internship at a place called Odyssey House for Adolescents. How I found this internship, I actually just applied through Indeed as a regular position. Because of COVID, it was really, really hard for people to let outsiders in, per se, because we had to stay home and do our things. But I was really fortunate enough to be able to apply through Indeed. And once they hired me, I had asked my boss if it was possible to do an internship with them. Even though it took about a couple days or so to get word back if that was okay, I was really fortunate that they were okay. And they had a therapist there who was willing to look after me there. The responsibilities that I had to do were making sure rules were kept by the adolescents, making sure room bands did not talk to each other. So room bands was kind of like it was a slang in the Odyssey home. Some of the kids were on room bands, meaning that if I was on a room band with Sarah, let's just say Sarah, um, I cannot talk to Sarah. I cannot um, play any games during free time with Sarah. It's as if there's a wall put between us and we can't talk to each other. The reason why room bands are placed that way, let's say you have a child who has been in the facility for a long time and then you get someone who's new. Most of the time the new kids who come in, they rely a lot on those who have been there in the facility for a long time, and sometimes they can have a bad influence on each other. So if we kind of see that they're feeding off each other in a negative way, and not in a healthy way, that's when we inform their therapist, and the therapist actually set up those room bands for them, and they know specifically what a room band is. I was also called a breaker for them. A breaker is just me just monitoring their talk, making sure they're not talking about inappropriate things, drugs from the outside, just making sure that their conversation is uplifting at all times. Um, I would keep the sharps in a lockbox. Made sure the meds were being passed. The kids were quiet. So the med room was in the dining room. And so every single time the door opened for the med room, all the kids know that they need to be placed on hold, which means they're not supposed to talk at all. They are supposed to be quiet so that the person passing out the meds doesn't make a mistake, and for safety reasons. At the end of each of my swing shifts, the kids were supposed to take off their shoes. We had to make sure that every kid takes off their shoe. No kid can have shoes in their room. How I made a difference in the internship, I related to the adolescents from personal situations. Though I didn't tell them what has gone on in my own personal life, but I was there to kind of give advice to them, kind of just give them a pep talk, like of how precious time is. And the kids were able to relate to me more because they knew that I've been there and I've done that, and I've learned through all my mistakes. Um, One important thing that I had noted here was that you can't come into the facility with an attitude of saving these children. They don't want to be saved. Most of them don't want to be saved. They're there because they have to. Some of them are court mandated, and then some, their parents actually drop them off to sober up. How this internship benefited me. It made me realize that these adolescents are the next of our generations. Um, we need to be an example for these adolescents because they're going to be our future. Um, like I said before, we can only give advice, but we can't save them. We can't have that mindset of saving these kids. And it really made me appreciate of how I was brought up by my parents and how I was brought up by goodly parents. A lot of their backstories come from trauma from their family. It's heartbreaking to hear most of their family settings because some of them don't have a family setting. Some of them love being in the facility because they can be with people who are actually trying to care for them in life. Most of the time when they're at home, their parents or whoever is their legal guardian seem to not care about what they do. Experience during my internship. So this is a story of actually one of the girls that I had taken care of and looked after. Smart girl, very smart girl. The only problem is that she had depression, really bad depression, and one of my coworkers who were working in the kitchen used the blender and had forgot to put the blade of the blender back in the lockbox, and so she got a hold of it, and we didn't notice it. The kids, before they enter into the dining room or anything, they're supposed to ask for structure, which means that they cannot be in the dining room unless one of us employees are there to see what they're doing. Unfortunately, it was a really crazy day, and she ended up going in the dining room and finding the blade and slicing her wrist. I ended up sitting down with her and I talked to her and I was like, look, you know, we all go through bad times and it's frustrating sometimes, especially around this time when you're supposed to be at home for the holidays. But look at it this way: if you hurt yourself, the ones who care about you most at home, they won't have you to come home to. Um, After that whole incident, she was able to wash up and she had a better mindset and she apologized to the staff who were there because actually one of the staff was really traumatized about what she had done. Um, but in the end, everybody seemed to forget about it and then move on. Recommendation and who to contact. Yes, I do recommend doing an internship at the Odyssey House. There are many locations. There's not just one for adolescents. There's ones for adults as well. Um, just browse around. It's really, if you really want to learn about your career, this will be a good opportunity. Though the downside about it is that yes, I had a therapist who looked after me. But I was more engaged with my other coworkers than I was with her because I didn't really see her often, and I think that was a downside. Um, you kind of have to learn for yourself and be able to self teach yourself. I have the contact information. Her name is Courtney. Um, Great gal. She was the one who had hired me and was okay about me doing an internship. And that's it.